Welcome to Leadership Formation and Strategic Talent Management. As a lead professor, I am responsible for the content in this course and want to invite you to contact me if you have any suggestions for improving our course as you interact with the resources and assignments. We decided to title this course Leadership Formation and Strategic Talent Management to represent the importance of the leader's development in then being able to intentionally develop other people. In other words, we need to be formed and grow as leaders in order to give something away to those that we lead. Just as I say that, I know that some of you may be thinking, well, I'm not in a formal position of leadership, so this class does not pertain to me. I would like you to rethink that with me. First, you don't have to be in a formal role to be a leader. Leadership is about influence, and you can influence others informally as well as formally. Also, you don't have to be in a formal leadership role to develop talent. Talent management is more of a mindset or attitude than a position. As an example, let's think of the people around us who've contributed to our development. Have all of the leaders who have influenced us had formal roles? I doubt it. Also, think of the people involved in a recent change effort around you. Did all of the influencers have formal roles? It's likely that we can think of numerous examples of informal influencers as we consider these questions. As a professor, I have a formal role of influence on students. But when students are not in class with me, they may seek me out to get input from me. I just had this happen with a student who sought me out to run a business idea by me and also wanted me to meet her significant other. As a coach, consultant, speaker, and leader outside of the classroom, I have many contexts where my informal influence is sought out and utilized. Also at Bethel, my ability to impact change at the university comes through my more informal roles. So we would like to encourage you to consider both your informal and your formal influence as you engage in this course. Let me reinforce the value of this course with this statistic. We anticipate that 3 to 6% of adults reach their full developmental potential. What do you think about that number? That low number is a key reason we love to invest in you here at Bethel. At Bethel, we want you to be part of the percentage that reaches their full potential, and we gear our program toward that goal. This course, along with the entire program, is designed to help you chart a path to get there. So let's discuss some trends that reinforce the value of this course. Today, there is more pressure than ever for us to reinvent ourselves to be relevant. Reinventing ourselves has as much to do with our social skills and ability to develop others than anything, even our technical skills. Attending a Christian university offers you an advantage here. The good news is that our God is in the reinventing business. God sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to show that He has the power to overcome and renew, and the Holy Spirit is here to equip us. So you are in the right place at the right time for God to do His good work in you. In this course, we will support you in reinventing yourself in these ways. First, by developing an intentional leadership philosophy. Also, by getting an overview of talent development and how to engage your formal and your informal influence. We'll also coach you in cultural inclusion and tapping into the creativity around you to be more innovative in today's changing markets. Also, by developing your coaching and mentoring skills and enhancing your influence through your authenticity and transparency, which actually adds values to teams and organizations. For this week, here are some insights into the resources and frameworks that we'd like you to focus on. The Noun resource offers us a 3-step framework for human development. The 3 stages of growth include the younger and older son or daughter and the father. The younger and older sons represent the less mature phases of our development, while the father reveals a greater level of maturity. The younger son rebels against authority, and the older son performs to please others while also building resentment. But the father embraces reality, surrenders to God, forgives, sets healthy boundaries, and keeps finding creative ways to love and engage people. As you read this story, consider where you are in the story. Do you feel more connected to the younger son's impatience and rebellion? Or do you feel more of a connection with the older son's robotic performance and looming bitterness? Or do you feel somewhere in between these two phases? Or are you moving toward receiving and extending the Father's love, where you set healthy boundaries and consequences so you don't go backwards into older or younger son behaviors? Once you understand where you are in this story, consider how you can support others in understanding their own stage of development using this framework. Next, we offer an article I wrote to support leaders in identifying the inner attitudes and behaviors that actually set us up to be more like the father and less like the older or younger sons or daughters. This takes consistently seeking and surrendering to God and giving over trying to do things on our own. When we believe that God has a greater view of our circumstances than we do, this process actually becomes easier, even though it's never completely easy. My experience has been that successfully navigating moral leadership requires that I seek and consult with the Lord, be faithful to His Word, and surrender myself to His higher view of things for guidance. I've only known the Lord in this last half of my life, and it's been a much richer and successful leadership experience than the first half of my career. Consider also the story of King Saul. He was initially anointed by God to be the leader over all of Israel, but he turned away from the Lord. Sadly, here's what the Bible says of Saul's legacy. He was unfaithful to the Lord. He did not keep the word of the Lord, and even consulted a medium for guidance, and did not inquire of the Lord. So the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. We hope this verse and the article encourages you in surrendering yourself to the Lord to leave a positive leadership legacy. Our world needs you to do just that. Next, let's touch on some key points related to Kegan's model of human development. Kegan was born in Minnesota in 1946 and became a psychologist and clinical therapist that also taught at Harvard. His focus has been on adult development. You will learn about 5 key formative stages of human development. Stage 0 is about being a newborn, and stage 1 is the impulsive toddler stage. Hopefully we're all out of those 2 stages. Stage 2 is the imperial or grade school years, where our attitudes and our behaviors are formed mostly through our interaction and role in our family, with some influence from our peers and school groups. We are more in control of our impulses, yet we view relationships in terms of what we want to get, and we do what it takes to get what we want. Approximately 13 to 36% of adults are still in this stage of development, even though in adult bodies. Stage 3 is the interpersonal stage or teenage years, where we develop more of our identity through our increasing relationships and experiences. So our identity comes mostly through others, and Kegan now refers to this as the socialized stage. About 43 to 46% of us are actually in this stage of development, even in our adult bodies. In stage 4, the institutional phase, we build a sense of self. Approximately 18 to 34% of us are in this phase of development. In this phase, we consider what others say and their authority in our lives, yet we are able to find our own way based upon our own principles. We start to author more of who we are. So Kegan now calls this the self-authoring stage. In stage 5, which is the inter-individual phase, it's about creating true intimacy with others, where we know who we are, but we can see the complexities of life, so we can expand who we are to meet those complexities. We can reinvent ourselves. So Kegan refers to this stage now as a self-transforming phase. This phase is about true adult love and transformation. Approximately 3 to 6% of adults get to this phase of development. We may see some of the imperial phase or black and white thinking as part of the younger and older son's development according to Nouwen. But for the most part, as we can see, the socialized self and the self-authoring stages connect very well with Nouwen's younger and older sons or daughters. The self-transforming phase integrates very well with Nouwen's description of the father. So reinventing ourselves means that we move beyond stage 3, or the socialized phase, or even stage 4, the self-authoring phase, and we move into the self-transforming phase of adulthood. We open ourselves up to new learning and transformation so that we are becoming more than productive robots who get a paycheck in our organizations. Taking this deeper, we can ask ourselves how we move on to the next stage of development. We move forward by using our own personal magnifying glass. We move on to the next phase over time by looking at things about ourselves that we have not seen before. We use this information to make new meanings about what is going on in our lives. We open ourselves up to new information, resources, and insights. We become resilient and creative problem solvers in community with other people. In this way, we continue to become self-aware, engage with other people, and within our circumstances. And we bring in the resources we need to see things anew and afresh. We also adapt the way we see and do things. In this process, we become more like the father and develop into the self-transforming adult. This is the opposite of what it means to be a victim to others or to our circumstances. People who remain stuck in certain stages close themselves off to new learning. People who grow into the next stage open themselves up to new meanings. We create new meaning by looking at things as subject and object. The things we are subject to have control over us and are invisible to us. For example, I had a blind spot of feeling over-responsible. It had control over me and caused me to anxiously overfunction at times in my relationships. Over time, I've become aware of this tendency in my relationships. The things we are object to are areas we become aware of and learn to manage. Life is much more enjoyable in not feeling like I'm always the one responsible for something. It's much easier to relax now. It is through reorganizing what we are subject and object to that creates a transformation in our lives. It is this reconstruction of reality that moves us to the next stage of development. Let's apply these key areas now to leadership as we consider why these are important topics. We are discovering in research a rich connection between leadership and learning. So as leaders, our ability to learn about ourselves and translate it into resilience and creative problem solving enhances our success in all sorts of situations. The more we grow, the more we can model growth to others and also help them get there. If we can lead ourselves in becoming unstuck, then we are more likely to help lead others in growing and changing. Leaders need to manage their own stress in changing situations so that they can lead and manage others through the stress of change. This takes being a differentiated self or moving toward the self-transforming phase of being like the Father. Through continual learning, we can become a co-creator in our organization. We can help to alter the climate of our organization and help it move from treating people like robots to treating people like real contributors. Let's discuss a few areas for you to be prepared for in this course. Be ready to self-reflect, and please make time for this reflection as part of the course resources and assignments. Consider also that this course intentionally prepares you and engages you to work as a team on multiple assignments. This is done to create the type of environment that will enhance your meaning making, as Kegan discusses, and hopefully give you an opportunity to move on towards the next developmental stage. Also, be prepared to be coached by your colleagues as well as to coach them to practice these skills. I hope this video is helpful in getting you started in this course. I pray for God to invest His truth into your life and leadership through the topics and assignments this week, and I pray for you to receive all God has for you. Thank you for getting started in this course. Please talk with your instructor about any questions you have as you begin this course.